What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, February 5th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 3:47 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So Israel is redeploying yet another army division from Gaza to their northern border with Lebanon. And this is another sign that Israel is preparing for war with Hezbollah. So the IDF's 36th Division has redeployed to the border with Lebanon. This large combat force includes the Golani Infantry Brigade, the 188th Armored Brigade, and the 282nd Artillery Brigade. So three brigades in this division, guys. An infantry brigade, an armored brigade, which is like tanks and stuff, and an artillery brigade. Okay, you don't move that kind of force somewhere unless you're expecting something to happen. Okay, and this would be the third IDF division deployed to the border with Lebanon in recent weeks. Okay, we also have some breaking news coming in that apparently the U.S. has confirmed that there was an attack in Syria last night on a base housing American troops. And we're hearing now that U.S. backed Syrian Kurdish forces are confirming that 6 of their fighters were killed in a drone strike. And at this same base where the Kurdish fighters were killed, apparently that's where U.S. personnel were located. This was in the Al Omar oil field. I reported on this late last night. Okay, so these Iranian proxies are continuing to strike our bases, places where U.S. personnel are, even after the massive strike Friday night by the U.S. We also have some breaking news coming in from Israel that apparently high intensity combat in southern Gaza and Khan Yunis is going to be ending in about a week. Apparently, the IDF will achieve full defeat of Hamas in the city. This is being reported by Khan News. And the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant sent a message to the Iranian proxies saying that the IDF still hasn't used all its units or special capabilities and that many things are ready. He said, I ordered the Air Force to ensure our aircraft face north and prepare for any contingency. Okay, so strong words there from Defense Minister Gallant. And Israeli Channel 12 is reporting that this past weekend was one of the busiest travel weekends in Israel since October 7. Apparently, as many as 30,000 people have left Israel this past weekend, which could be a sign that an Israeli operation against Hezbollah is imminent. And remember, a few days ago, I shared with you guys that email that somebody sent to me from Jerusalem. This person lives in Jerusalem. A follower of mine sent me an email that they got from the Israeli government telling them that they need to prepare for extended power outages due to a war in the north. Okay. And a U.S. defense official has confirmed that there was an attack in Syria last night on a base housing American troops. Apparently, multiple Syrian Defense Force casualties were reported and significant damage to infrastructure, according to the U.S. defense official who spoke to Al Arabia. And U.S. backed Syrian Kurdish forces say 6 fighters were killed in this strike. Okay. And upon further analysis, it appears that yesterday's strikes on the Houthis by the U.S. involved 2 separate strikes. There was one strike on a land attack missile in Yemen that was getting ready to launch, and then there was a separate strike on anti-ship missiles that were ready to launch. Very interesting that the Houthis were preparing to use a land attack missile. This would be probably, I don't know, maybe one of the few times that they've actually tried to launch a land attack missile. They've launched them at Israel a few times, but it was the first time that the U.S. actually destroyed one before it was preparing to launch, which tells me that this missile may have been bound for some of our oil fields or maybe even a U.S. base in the region. Okay, because these are land attack missiles. They're specifically designed to go from surface to surface. Okay, potentially this could have been a cruise missile of some kind. Maybe they were going to hit a base or an oil field and we destroyed it before it launched. So things are really escalating in the Middle East, guys. Okay, and the Iranian hacker group Yari Gamanon apparently hacked U.S. airport security cameras, and they published a video of it on Twitter. I want to just remind you guys of this massive air navigation warning in Poland. This is unprecedented. I've been following Polish news pretty much all of my adult life, being that I have Polish heritage. I follow Polish news regularly, and I have never seen anything like this before. This is a 3-month air navigation warning for planes between ground level and 9,500 feet. And this warning asks pilots to turn their SSR transponders on. And it specifically warns of unplanned military actions related to ensuring state security may occur. Now, there were some people on Twitter saying that, oh, this is just because of the NATO exercise. They're going to be flying helicopters in the area. Wrong. Okay, if it was just for an exercise, why would they say unplanned military actions may occur relating to ensuring state security? Okay, if it's an exercise, it's definitely not unplanned, and it's not due to ensuring state security. It would say clearly due to an exercise, not ensuring state security. So, guys, I don't know what's going on here, but it's very possible that there could be a war in Eastern Europe again, okay, with now the NATO countries getting involved. Poland and the Baltic countries, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, Poland had some credible intelligence for them to create this massive air navigation warning. Look at this. This is half their country almost, okay? And it includes Warsaw, the capital. Okay, I don't think NATO's doing exercises over Warsaw. Okay, usually they do exercises in remote locations away from heavily populated areas, but this includes Poland's border region with Russia, with Belarus, and with Ukraine. So it's very suspicious that they would have this up along the Russian border. If they had it along the Belarus or Ukrainian border, I would say, oh, okay, it's because of, maybe stray missiles, because a few times Russia launched missiles towards Ukraine and they strayed into Poland, supposedly strayed in. But they came from the eastern direction, either from Belarus or from Ukraine. 2 of them came from Ukraine. 1 of them came from Belarus. But they have this thing all the way up to the Baltic Sea along the Russian border here. So that's very suspicious. And I want to just show you guys some of the unusual reconnaissance activity that has been occurring in Eastern Europe the last couple of days. So last night, we had this Russian reconnaissance plane in Kaliningrad. This is the second night in a row that this thing has been up in the air. And what's interesting is you can see it was flying along the border with Lithuania. Okay, you can see this boomerang pattern here. Okay, back and forth along the Lithuanian border here. Very unusual. I've never seen this plane before. In the last 3 years, I've been tracking this area regularly with the flight tracker, and I haven't seen this plane before. This is supposedly the Russian State ATM Corporation, which is like a Russian air navigation company, basically a state air navigation agency in Russia. But to me, this looks like a reconnaissance plane going back and forth. This is a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling along the Polish border with Belarus and Ukraine and also with Russia. And here we have another Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling the Baltic Sea near the Gotland Island. This is an island in the middle of the Baltic Sea controlled by Sweden. And Sweden has always feared that Russia could try to take control of the Gotland Island. So they're patrolling it like crazy. And here we have the current situation over the United States. We have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert. We have a B 52 nuclear bomber that was doing loops over the Black Hills and near Devil's Tower. Check this out. Look at all these loops. It was up in the air all afternoon over there. We have a British Eurofighter Typhoon that is currently over Arkansas, and it took off from Southern California. Looks like possibly Edwards Air Force Base. Very interesting. And then we have two U.S. nuclear war command and control planes up in the air right now. We have one flying over Riverhead, Long Island, which is very unusual. They usually don't fly up there, but looks like U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert. Two E-6 Mercuries. These planes are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines, and they can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. So definitely a high level of alert by U.S. nuclear forces. And this update was sponsored by Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life and includes over 2,000 calories per day. All of this food is stored within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. And Patriot Supply is also doing a 30% discount on the Vesta self-powered indoor space heater and stove. With this thing, you can safely heat and cook indoors. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't have to worry about burning your house down. It uses special canned heat, and it comes with 24 cans. Each can will last you 6 hours and can warm up a room of 200 square feet. So to get the deal, also go to preparewithnyprepper.com. And also, Patriot Supply has a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival items. To get to that store, you just click on the Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page, and it'll take you to their general store. And they have all different kinds of discounts here on various items. They have MREs, they have water filters, they have potassium iodides, fire starters, anything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply and 30% off of the Vesta indoor space heater and stove. We had a lot of reconnaissance activity in the Western Pacific yesterday near Taiwan and South Korea. So here we have an RC-135 combat scent plane. Now, the U.S. Air Force only has 2 of these planes, and these planes are responsible for providing intelligence information directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs. So if one of these is up in the air somewhere, it means that something serious is going on, and they need to get intelligence to the president and the top generals on what's going on in that area. Remember, they only have 2 of these. Okay, so this one took off from Okinawa, Japan, and you can see it went straight north towards the Korean peninsula. We also had an RC-135 rivet joint, which is a reconnaissance plane flying near Taiwan, near the Taiwan Strait. It was also accompanied by an aerial refueler, so it was up in the air near Taiwan for a while. Here's a closer shot. So we are now sending reconnaissance planes near Taiwan and South Korea. Okay, I haven't seen this much reconnaissance in those 2 areas in the last few years. Okay, I haven't seen this much reconnaissance, especially these combat scent planes going up to the Korean Peninsula. But even these RC-135s usually don't go that close to Taiwan. So very concerning, guys. All right, our military's definitely concerned about Taiwan and Korea right now. And then we had this U.S. Marine Corps plane that flew towards Taiwan and then turned around and came back. Very interesting. And Senator Lindsey Graham said yesterday about the situation with Iran that we need to change our policy. People are not afraid of us. This idea of hitting hundreds of targets doesn't matter. If there is another round of strikes coming, I really hope they would hurt Iran and their pocketbook and kill their leadership, because if we don't, nothing changes. Wow. Lindsey Graham openly calling for the Biden administration to take out the Iranian leadership and strike them directly. And John Kirby, the national security advisor, said on Fox News Sunday, what you saw on Friday night was just the first round. There will be additional response actions taken by the administration against the IRGC and these groups that they're backing. And Iran, Russia, and China are going to be holding naval exercises as early as next month. Other countries may also participate in these exercises. And the U.S. did not give pre-notification to Iraq ahead of the strikes on Friday night against 3 militant sites inside the country. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel said on Monday, adding that Iraq was informed immediately after the strikes. Now, Iraq is very upset about that. And today, the Iraqi foreign minister went to Iran and met with the Iranian foreign minister and the Iranian president. So that's not good, guys. Okay, Iraq is basically working for Iran now. Okay, Iraq is under the control of Iran. Unfortunately, that's what's going on here. And it looks like this whole situation in the Middle East is continuing to escalate. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. And I do believe that we are heading towards a war with Iran. I think it's unavoidable. And Taiwan's military is currently in talks with a newly formed national railway company on how to use trains to transport military equipment during a war. This involves figuring out what railway cars and gauges to use and resolving other technical issues to ensure smooth transport by rail rather than relying on planes. This was reported by Taiwan Plus. And Taiwan's military reported that 17 Chinese military aircraft of various types were detected along the southeastern coast of mainland China yesterday. And out of 17 of them, 9 of them crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered the central and north parts of Taiwan's air defense identification zone. And apparently, they were conducting joint combat drills with Chinese naval vessels. So that could be why there was so much reconnaissance activity around Taiwan by the U.S. last night, okay? Because China was doing a joint drill with their Air Force and their Navy in Taiwan's air defense identification zone. That would be like if Russia was right off the coast of New York City, like 10 miles out or 20 miles out, doing drills, okay, with their Navy and their Air Force, like 20 miles offshore. That's the same thing, okay? That would freak you out, wouldn't it? And I want to just turn your attention to eastern Ukraine. We have the city of Avdiivka here. This is a critical city in eastern Ukraine, and it looks like Russia may take control of it. This would be a massive loss for the Ukrainians, as bad as the loss of Bakhmut. And there is video footage circulating on social media of US M1 Abrams tanks being used by Ukrainians in Avdiivka. And I want to remind you guys that Russia is preparing a major offensive against Ukraine with as many as 500 tanks, more than 600 fighting vehicles, hundreds of howitzers, and 40,000 troops. And this is apparently going to go down in the Kharkiv Oblast. Russia's going to try to retake some territory near Kharkiv. So very concerning. And Russia's foreign ministry summoned the Israeli ambassador Simona Halperin over unacceptable comments she made in an interview, the TASS news agency reported, citing the ministry as saying on Monday, Halperin, according to the ministry, misrepresented Russia's foreign policy stance in the interview with Russia's Kommersant Daily published on Sunday. The ministry described her comments as an extremely unsuccessful start to her diplomatic posting, which began last December. In the interview, Halperin criticized Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov for playing down the importance of the Holocaust and said Russia was being too friendly with Hamas. Wow. Okay, so Russia's definitely butthurt about that, but she's basically telling it like it is. And former President Donald Trump is urging Republicans to reject the new bipartisan Senate deal on Ukraine aid and border security. And Mike Johnson said the Senate border bill will be dead on arrival in the House. And Putin's going to be visiting Turkey on February the 12th. That's in just 7 days, next Monday. And he's going to be meeting with the president of Turkey, and they're going to discuss a possible new Ukrainian grain deal in the Black Sea. And on Monday in Bulgaria, an employee of the Bulgarian Ministry of Internal Affairs was detained after being suspected of providing information to a Russian spy. And Brazil has moved 30 armored vehicles to their border with Venezuela due to a fear of armed conflict over the Essequibo region of Guyana. And more than 1 million people in California are without power due to a massive coastal storm. Part of California could see as much as a foot of rain in the next 24 hours, and some counties in California have already declared a state of emergency. And Saudi Arabia has signed an agreement with Lockheed Martin for the production of parts of the THAAD missile defense system in Saudi Arabia. And Tesla is doing really bad on the stock market. Apparently, Tesla's stocks have been down 27% in the last year and down 56% from their all-time high on November 4th, 2021. And in the last 3 days, the Tesla stocks have been going down. So it looks like the craze over electric vehicles is starting to subside. Reality is setting in. These electric vehicles are not practical, okay, unless you're some rich CEO and you only have to drive locally somewhere. But for most people, they're not practical because it takes a full night of charging to get your battery back up to where it has to be to drive a decent distance. And here we have the flight path of some Russian doomsday planes. They went east towards Siberia late last night. You can see a Tupolev 214SR, a Tupolev 214PU, and an Ilyushin 96-300. These are Russian airborne command posts and nuclear war command and control planes. Very interesting. I don't know where they landed. They either lost reception with the transponder once it got deeper into Siberia, or they turned their transponders off, but they were heading towards the Novosibirsk direction. And here we have some video footage of Tucker Carlson speaking to some Russian journalist, and he basically says that he might be interviewing Putin. So this is him in Moscow, okay? So very, very interesting. He says here, I think maybe interview Putin when he's asked what he's doing in Moscow, okay? And here we have a picture of some of the Brazilian armored vehicles being deployed to the border with Venezuela. So that's some of the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back tonight with more breaking news, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.